Okay, good evening and welcome to our episode 16. As always, let's start with our gratitude attitude. So, gently close your eyes, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, relax some more. Take one more deep breath, and this time, completely relax yourself. Now, think of one thing that you are thankful for that happened to you in the last 1 week. Once you have identified that, think about why you are thankful for. And now let's set it free. If you are by yourself, say it out loud what you are thankful for and why. If you are with someone, just tell to each other. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something unusual, a joyful death. At a first glance, it sounds like an oxymoron, but as you will see, it is a profound subject. I read two books recently on death. One called Living Meaningfully and Dying Joyfully. It's a book by Kelsang Geisto. He's a Buddhist meditation master. And the second book was called Death, an Inside Story by Sadhguru, a yogi. Surprisingly, both books had a very similar theme and conclusion. They also have similar teachings on what happens at the time of death. At death, they say that our subtle mind or our I or our soul leaves this body and stays in what is known as an intermediate state for anywhere from a few hours to a few weeks before taking rebirth. That another birth, the rebirth, could be in any realm. It could be a human realm, animal, and so forth, depending upon what karma ripened at the time of our death. In general, in the West, we have this fear of death. All of us intellectually know that everyone dies someday, but we don't take that to mean that we too shall die. If you think about it, every minute that passes, we are 1 minute closer to our death. Scary, right? Doesn't have to be. During our karma Q&A sessions, we briefly touched on the fact that karma that ripens at our death determines where we end up next in this cycle of birth and death. So let's discuss what it really means. We have all created negative karma in this lifetime as well as previous lives. So strictly speaking, or statistically speaking, the chance of negative karma ripening at death is higher than the chance of positive karma ripening, right? We've done a lot more bad than good. So how do we get around these overwhelming odds against us? There is a solution for that. If we die peacefully or joyfully, we increase our odds of positive karma ripening significantly. So that leads to the next question. How do we die peacefully? There is a whole science behind this. But in a nutshell, during death, one must be without any attachment, fear, pain, anger, or any one of those delusions. If that happens, our negative karma will not ripen at death. As simple as that. So if we somehow can avoid all those delusions, attachment, fear, pain, anger, then we are good to go. But this means no thinking about our possessions, money, car, house, etc. No worrying about our loved ones, removing all the attachment. No concern about our mental or physical pain. There are things people around those who are dying can do to help the process as well. The biggest thing our loved ones can do for a dying person is not to be attached to them. Meaning no holding hands, no crying, no will miss you, no it is too soon, no please stay, so on and so forth. Because that creates strong sense of attachment. And that's what a dying person is trying to avoid. We can also make things conducive for a dying person by playing soft devotional music. I only experienced one death of a loved one in my life, but it was a textbook joyful death. A few years ago, my uncle passed away. He was relatively young, he was 67 years old at the time. At the time of his death, there were about 20 people in the room. No one was touching him or even close to his bed. Everyone was singing bhajans. And in about half an hour or so, he passed away. No one was crying. It was just a matter of fact as opposed to a sad event. That is what is needed to make sure that our negative karma does not ripen at death. So it's a very simple solution if you think about it. As long as we know and those around us know ahead of time. I know it's a different topic and not everyone is comfortable thinking about it. But it's an important event in one's journey through life, the samsara, cycle of birth and life. It decides what our next destination may be. So we must begin to think about how best we can make this a peaceful, if not joyful event. Food for thought. So, in our meditation today, we'll first settle down in our hearts and do something different. We'll perform a meditation, it's an advanced meditation known as absorption of cessation meditation. And all that means is no thoughts, no feelings, no sensation. We do this by imagining ourselves as a piece of wood. If you look at a piece of wood, it has no thoughts, no feeling, no emotions. So, just like that, we'll stay still in our mind, experiencing a deep peace, and we'll hold that peace as long as we can. So, that's the meditation task today. Let's go ahead and get into our meditation posture. So, make sure you are seated either cross legged or your legs are straight, your spine is erect, eyes gently closed, and keep your mouth just a little bit open so that all the tensions you are holding in your jaws will melt away. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, relax your muscles. Take another deep breath. And this time, let all the tension melt away from your body. Now, bring your attention to your breath. Focus on the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air going in and gently warm air coming out. Focus on your breath for about a minute or so on your own. Now imagine yourself as a piece of wood. Stay still like wood. No thoughts, no feeling, no emotion. Experience the stillness within, the deep peace. If you find yourself thinking about something, just bring yourself back. Consider yourself a piece of wood, no reaction, no thought. If you are running away with your thoughts, just go back to your breathing. Focus on your breathing for about 10 breaths. That will calm you down. Enjoy the deep peace that is within you. If you find yourself thinking about something, Just bring yourself back. Imagine you are a piece of wood, no feelings, no attachment, no thoughts, just stillness. If your thoughts have taken you somewhere else, please come back. Focus on your breathing for about 10 breaths. Experience the deep peace that is within you and single pointedly focus on that peace for the last minute or so. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. So it was a difficult meditation in a sense that this particular meditation does not come with a lot of guidance. Just stay still, right? That's why it's one of the advanced meditations. But I thought we'll just introduce that since we've been practicing for 15 episodes. So with that, let's open it up for any questions you may have.
Nirabai Hetal here.
Yeah, go ahead, Hetal.
So for somebody who dies in their sleep, would that be considered a peaceful death?
For most cases, yes, unless they are suffering through at that specific time some kind of nightmare or something, then their very subtle mind is going through this nightmare, which creates fear, right? So that's the only exception. Otherwise, it's a peaceful death.
And then in that case, then their positive karma would ripen?
Exactly. So in that case, so there are 6 realms one can take rebirth in, and the lower 3 realms are out for them for sure.
Okay.
So there are 3 types of mind: the gross mind, subtle mind, and very subtle mind. Very subtle mind is, some people call it soul, some people call it I. The gross mind and the subtle mind, they cease to exist at the time of death. In fact, let's talk about that next week, about 3 types of mind. It would be an interesting topic.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Uncle?
As you said, Nirav, that like all the people should, the surrounding the people, relatives or loved one, or even though they accept death as a part of the life, but I've seen a couple of more deaths in my family, my parents, like my father-in-law. It's increasingly hard that they are detached. In fact, they become more attached and they try everything on the earth to revive or keep the person, either by medication or treatment or whatever you call it, specialization, all these things, rather than let the person die peacefully without doing any experiment on him.
And that's very important, because I think that's a Western culture we brought in to ourselves. I mean, this is a political point I'm just going to make, but if you look at the Medicare expenses, right, the US government spends about 30% of total Medicare expenses is spent in last 3 months of somebody's life. So we are prolonging death for no reason, and we are essentially the person suffers, right? But we have that attachment, and we think we are doing a favor to them, right? That, hey, we are helping their life, but actually we are not. But that's a tough thing to understand, and that's seeped into our Indian culture as well, in Eastern culture as well, this Western philosophy of, and I like the philosophy that every life matters, right? But at some point we must let it go. And that we are not ready to do. And like I said, in my uncle's case, it was just beautiful thing to see, right? Nobody was crying, nobody was holding hands, because that, when you hold hand at that last moment and say, Dad, don't go, right? That creates attachment for them, right? I'm not worried about you. It's the person who's dying. That attachment can make the negative karmas ripen. So we are actually hurting them by doing that.
I do agree, but it's like I've seen, and even some people, I won't name it, but they accept that he is dead or he's going to die. Forget about detachment. Even after the death, they are in the state of denial.
Yeah.
And that is the very sad part, and I have to repeatedly tell them.
And I think that's where education is needed, right? Hopefully, more people will. There was a wonderful book. I forgot the name of the author. He's a doctor. Um, originally from India. He lives in US, and he wrote a wonderful book I read about 4 or 5 years ago, where he went through this whole process himself with his parents. And that's when he said, you know what we are doing in this country about prolonging this death is not a right thing to do. And more and more primary care physicians I talk to, they all get that. I think things breaks down at the specialist level because the specialists are trained to do their best in their little field, right? They don't look at this holistically. PCP, on the other hand, looks at this holistically and says, you know what, it's time.
I do agree, Mira. And I've seen personally, like my father-in-law's case, basically, and it's like state of denial. And I say, he had everything that you can imagine in his life.
Right.
Education, the good family, friends, everything.
He was 90 plus. I mean, what else can you ask for in life?
96. But still, people cannot come out of that attachment.
So one thing you can do, uncle, is if you can educate them so that they're prepared for their mom. I understand they didn't do that with their dad, right? But your mother-in-law, she's 90 plus, obviously.
93.
She's good health, but we must prepare them.
They're sitting outside.
Yeah.
They're staying with us. But that's the education is possible when you have your open mind and you can think rationally. But if you are in the state of denial and you do not want to listen, even you cannot talk anything in that direction, then I feel that it's difficult to educate somebody.
Yeah.
Like I've been telling that, okay, it could be a couple of years.
Yeah.
It could be tomorrow. It could be any day for mom. And no, don't talk that.
Real quick, when I had a heart attack a few months ago, first day was horrible, right? Everything was going wrong. Yeah. And this ER ICU chief doctor, he comes up and he says, Mr. Shah, you're not dying today. And I said, listen, man, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And he says, not on my watch. But the point is, we have to accept that, if it's our time, it's our time. So, but that's where I think this education hopefully comes in play, where people start thinking about this because we are all at an age where our parents, are at an age they will die. That's a fact of life, right?
That I want them to die peacefully, without any pain, without any suffering for themselves and for the family.
Yep.
Because you have achieved everything in your life and it's time for you to go. Rather than you becoming in vegetable state, in coma, or in a painful state there, you cannot move your hand or turn your head or do anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Okay, that makes sense. Hopefully you can prep them, but let's stop